The Valley of the Kings is home to some of the most remarkable and mysterious discoveries in history. From hidden tombs to unexpected treasures, archaeologists have uncovered sites that continue to baffle experts to this very day. In this video, we'll dive into the ancient secrets of the Valley of Kings, exploring the discoveries that no one can still quite explain. Number 10. King Tut's Tomb. Discovered in 1922 by legendary Howard Carter, King Tut's tomb is easily one of the most famous archaeological finds in history. Even though it was smaller than other royal tombs, it was surprisingly untouched by grave robbers, which is pretty rare in ancient Egypt. Inside, Carter uncovered more than 5,000 treasures, including the iconic golden mask. What makes this tomb so mysterious is how well preserved that it was. Considering that Tut's short reign and young age, nothing here makes sense. His sudden demise and the rapid burial have sparked endless theories, leading many aspects of his life and legacy shrouded in mystery. Number 9. The Tomb of Nefertari. Number 9. The Tomb of Nefertari. I've never tidied a day in my life. Nefertari. Alright, here we go, thank you. In 1904, Ernesto Schiaparelli stumbled upon the breathtaking tomb of Nefertari, the wife of Ramses II in the Valley of the Queens. Now, the tomb is famous for its stunning, well-preserved murals that showcase Nefertari's high royal status. But here's the catch. Despite the grandeur of the tomb, Nefertari herself doesn't have much of a historical footprint compared to other famous queens. The lavish artwork suggests that she was a powerful figure, yet there's a surprisingly lack of details about her and her life, or even her relationship with Ramses II. This leaves many wondering just how influential she really was in Egypt's history. Number 8. Lost Tomb of Ozymandias. In 1817, Giovanni Belzoni made a fascinating discovery in the Valley of the Kings, the tomb of Ozymandias, believed to be the burial place of the legendary Ramses II, who I just mentioned. What makes this tomb stand out is its sheer scale and unique design. Unlike many other royal tombs on our list, this one features intricate carvings and reliefs that leave a lasting impression. Pun intended. But here's the catch. The tomb had already been looted long before its rediscovery, and parts of it are still missing, which of course only adds to this mystery. There's also no definitive historical record to confirm who exactly was buried here, leaving scholars to speculate about the identity of the king and the true purpose of this tomb. The uncertainty surrounding its origins and what was lost makes the tomb of Ozymandias one of the Valley of the Kings' most enigmatic finds. Also, don't steal from tombs. Like, do you want to get cursed? That's how you get cursed. That's getting cursed 101. Steal from an ancient tomb. Number 7. The Tomb of Ai. Unearthed by the legendary Howard Carter in 1907, the Tomb of Ai, the pharaoh who took the throne after King Tut, rests in the Valley of the Kings. Now, the real intrigue surrounding Ai's tomb comes from his rapid rise to power, which is still tied to the controversial circumstance of King Tut's death. Was Ai involved, or was he simply a pawn in a much larger royal drama? Is it ancient Egypt or Game of Thrones? The tomb itself is filled with stunning artifacts hinting at his considerable influence, yet the mystery deepens when you look at his short reign and the near silence in historical records about his burial and even royal connections. Why is his legacy so vague? Was he truly a legitimate ruler, or was his rise to power more complicated than we know? These unanswered questions keep Ai's tomb and his role in history firmly shrouded in mystery. Number 6. Tomb of KV5. In 1995, Ken Weeks made a jaw-dropping discovery in the Valley of the Kings. KV5, the largest tomb ever found in that area. Thought to be the final resting place of many of Ramses II's sons, this tomb is nothing short of a labyrinth, with over 100 chambers, some believed to hold the remains of up to 50 princes. That is massive. The sheer scale of the tomb is honestly mind-blowing, but what makes it even more intriguing is the fact that it was never mentioned in ancient records. Never. So why is that? The enormous number of sons and the absence of any documentation about their burials suggests that the royal family was haunted by loss and tragedy. What exactly happened to these princes, and why is so much of their story still locked away in the shadows? The mystery of KV5 is one that continues to puzzle archaeologists, leaving more questions than answers.
In our number 5 spot today, we have the Dagger of Thutmose III. The Dagger of Thutmose III is more than just an ancient artifact. It is a chilling legend that has captivated historians. This ceremonial dagger, belonging to one of Egypt's greatest warrior pharaohs, is crafted from an iron meteorite, giving it an uncanny aura as if forged from the stars themselves. Discovered hidden away in a secret chamber beneath a forgotten temple, the blade remains impossibly sharp, its surface etched with hieroglyphs that no scholar has been able to fully decipher. Tales abound of those who have dared to hold the dagger. Archaeologists and tomb raiders who met mysterious and untimely ends shortly after coming into contact with it. Accidents, sudden illnesses, and inexplicable disappearances have all been linked to this mysterious weapon, fueling whispers of a pharaoh's curse that transcends millennia. Is the dagger merely a relic of a bygone era, or does it serve as a deadly conduit for ancient vengeance? In our number 4 spot today, we have the curse of Tutankhamun's tomb. In 1972, the eerie whispers surrounding King Tut's curse stirred once more, capturing the world's imagination. To honor the 50th anniversary of the tomb's legendary discovery, a collection of the young pharaoh's artifacts was set to journey from Cairo to the British Museum in London. The night after overseeing the delicate handling of these ancient treasures, the director of antiquities at the Cairo Museum unexpectedly passed away, sending shockwaves through the archaeological community. Rumors swirled that the curse had claimed yet another victim, but of course the ominous events didn't stop there. The crew aboard the aircraft transporting the artifacts began experiencing inexplicable misfortunes. 3 airmen who had interacted with the relics suffered sudden heart attacks shortly after the flight. Each year, on the exact anniversary of the flight with King Tut's possessions, he endured a heart attack until the final one proved fatal. Was the pharaoh's curse reaching out from the sands of time to exact vengeance on those who disturbed his eternal slumber? In our number 3 spot today, we have Qom Abu Bilo. The tale of renowned Egyptologist Zahi Hawass takes a haunting twist when connected to the mysterious site of Qom Abu Bilo. One day, while transporting ancient artifacts from this archaeological dig, Hawass received devastating news. His aunt had suddenly passed away. Exactly 1 year later, on that same unsettling date, his uncle died unexpectedly. This pattern didn't stop there. The following year, again on the identical day, his favorite cousin met an untimely end. The eerie sequence of events couldn't be ignored, and soon newspapers buzzed with whispers that the curse of the pharaohs had targeted his family. Although he personally dismissed these claims, stating, quote, "Fortunately, there is really no such thing," the chilling coincidences left many wondering whether some ancient curse had been unleashed. Could the artifacts from this site carry a malevolent force that transcends time, or were these tragedies merely ill-fated coincidences? In our number 2 spot today, we have Kentika Ikaki's curse. Deep within the ancient sands of Saqqara lies the tomb of Kentika Ikaki, an official from Egypt's mysterious 6th dynasty. This burial site isn't just a relic of the past, it's wrapped in spine-chilling legends that have intrigued and terrified adventurers for centuries. Etched into the very stone of his mastaba is a haunting warning, quote, "As for all men who shall enter this tomb impure, there will be judgment. I shall seize his neck like a bird, and I shall cast the fear of myself into him." These aren't mere words, they're a formidable curse aimed straight at the hearts of would-be tomb raiders. Stories swirl about those who ignored this dire message. Explorers met with sudden, unexplainable misfortunes after trespassing. Some say his spirit still guards his resting place, ready to unleash dread upon anyone who dares to disturb his peace. And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have Ankh-Tifi's curse. Deep within Egypt's shifting sands rests the tomb of Ankh-Tifi, a provincial governor from the chaotic First Intermediate period, time where the Old Kingdom's unity was fracturing. His burial site isn't just a monument to his status, but a fortress guarded by some very ominous words. Etched into the very stone is a stern warning, quote, "Any ruler who shall do evil or wickedness to this coffin, may Hemen not accept any goods he offers, and may his heir not inherit." The ancient Egyptians believed such curses held genuine power, calling upon the gods to protect the deceased and unleash divine wrath upon defilers. Tales whisper of those who dared to violate his tomb, only to suffer inexplicable misfortune, sudden illnesses, financial ruin, even untimely deaths. Ankh-Tifi's tomb stands as a chilling testament to how the spiritual and physical worlds were intertwined, using the threat of supernatural retribution to safeguard eternal rest. Listed in our number 10 spot, we have the unlucky mummy. The unlucky mummy isn't actually a mummy at all. It's a hauntingly beautiful painted wooden mummy board of an unidentified woman tucked away in the British Museum in London. But if walls could talk, the tales this artifact would tell might send shivers down your spine. Back in its early days at the museum, staff members began reporting unsettling occurrences. Loud banging noises echoed through the exhibit halls at night, seemingly emanating from the mummy board itself, as if something trapped within was desperate to break free. One intrepid photographer decided to capture its image, but when he developed the photo, he was met with a horrifying surprise. The serene face on the mummy board appeared twisted into a malevolent grimace, eyes glaring with otherworldly intensity. The eerie events escalated when a museum guard was found dead under mysterious circumstances after his night shift near the artifact. Whispers of a curse began to circulate among the staff, and the museum allegedly couldn't get rid of the mummy board fast enough. It said they sold it to an American archaeologist who arranged for its transport to the United States aboard none other than the Titanic. Some believe that the cursed mummy board sealed the ship's fate, its malevolent energy contributing to the tragic sinking that shook the world. In our number 9 spot today, we have the Osiris statue. In 1971, deep within the sands of Saqqara, an experienced Egyptologist unearthed a small yet mesmerizing statue of Osiris, the ancient Egyptian god of death. The artifact was remarkably well preserved, its intricate details capturing the solemn gaze of the deity as if time had scarcely touched it. As dusk settled, the archaeologist and his assistant returned to their modest quarters in a nearby village. Drawn by the statue's mysterious allure, he decided to keep it with him for further study. Later that evening, he headed to the bathroom to freshen up after the grueling day, and moments passed before his assistant was jolted by harrowing screams echoing from the bathroom. Rushing in, he found the archaeologist gripping the sink basin, his face etched with sheer terror. Quote, "He stood there as if paralyzed," the assistant recalled. Quote, "I grabbed him by the shoulders and guided him to the couch. Then I ran to call for help." Medical professionals arrived to find the archaeologist stricken with sudden paralysis on the right side of his body, his speech lost to an inexplicable affliction. Despite their efforts, he passed away the very next day. Whispers began to circulate among the locals and the archaeological community. Had the statue of Osiris unleashed an ancient curse? Tales of doom befalling those who disturb sacred relics resurfaced, casting a shadow over the discovery. Was it a mere coincidence, or did the god of death extend his reach from the realm of the dead to claim another soul? In our number 8 spot today, we have the Egyptian relic. In 2007, a chilling tale unfolded involving a German man who visited the legendary Valley of the Kings near Luxor. Enticed by the allure of ancient history, he pocketed a small, intricately carved Egyptian relic as a keepsake from his trip, but what seemed like a harmless souvenir soon became a harbinger of doom. Upon his return to Germany, he was struck by an inexplicable fatigue and fever that baffled doctors. His condition rapidly deteriorated into paralysis, and shockingly, he passed away soon after. Before his death, or perhaps just after, his stepson received the artifact along with a desperate plea. Believing that a pharaoh's curse had claimed his stepfather, the stepson anonymously returned the stolen carving to the Egyptian embassy in Berlin, hoping to restore peace to his family's tormented spirits. This eerie incident mirrors the notorious legends of curses befalling those who disturb Egyptians' tombs, like the mysterious deaths that followed the opening of King Tut's tomb. Could it be that an ancient curse still lingers, waiting to unleash their wrath on unsuspecting souls? In our number 7 spot today, we have the mummies. In 1699, a Polish nobleman embarked on a voyage from Alexandria, his ship's hold carrying an unusual treasure: 2 ancient Egyptian mummies he intended to study for their reputed medicinal properties. As the vessel navigated the serene waters of the Mediterranean Sea, an unsettling atmosphere descended upon the crew. Late at night, the nobleman began experiencing eerie visions, spectral figures drifting through the shadows of the ship, their eyes hollow and fixed upon him. Whispered voices echoed in the corridors, and unexplained chills ran down the spines of seasoned sailors. Realizing that the mummies might be the source of these otherworldly occurrences, he made a swift decision. Under the cloak of darkness, the mummies were cast over overboard into the depths of the sea. No worries about the history there. Remarkably, as soon as the waves swallowed the ancient remains, the haunting ceased and an uneasy calm returned to the ship. This chilling account, recorded by Louis Pennecher in his treatise on embalming, leaves one to wonder, did the restless spirits of the mummies seek vengeance for their disturbed slumber? It's tales like these that blur the line between history and the supernatural, reminding us that some artifacts might carry more than just the weight of the past. In our number 6 spot today, we have King Ahmose I's mummy. In the lively halls of the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, a young boy grappling with a severe illness found himself irresistibly drawn to the ancient wonders on display. Amidst the towering statues and glittering artifacts, he paused before the mummy of King Ahmose I. As he locked eyes with the pharaoh's preserved visage, something incredible happened. A warm sensation washed over him and a newfound energy surged through his body. Miraculously, his long-standing ailment began to fade, leaving doctors completely confused by his sudden recovery. Filled with awe and gratitude, the boy immersed himself in the world of ancient Egypt, eager to uncover more of its timeless mysteries. Could this mummy have possessed healing powers, or was this just a remarkable coincidence? Herodotus once described a labyrinth so vast it made the pyramids look simple. Archaeologists found it, but were then told to stop digging. The Hawara site, located in the Fayum Oasis, is home to the Pyramid of Amenhotep III, but below that lies something far more bizarre. A vast underground structure described by ancient historians as a labyrinth of 3,000 rooms. In 2008, radar scans by a Belgian-Egyptian team confirmed the presence of enormous chambers beneath the ground, but right after their findings were published, the excavation was suddenly halted. Egypt's authorities stated concerns about groundwater and preservation, but skeptics believe that something more was found, something that made authorities nervous. To this day, the site remains sealed and no permits are granted. In the middle of nowhere, satellite images picked up what looked like ruins, then the military moved in. Bir Kisaiba lies deep in the western desert near Egypt's border with Sudan. In 2010, remote sensing archaeologists discovered strange stone formations that looked like streets, homes, and even temple foundations. But before excavations could begin, the Egyptian military took control of the area. They claimed that the site was in a sensitive border zone, but the local tribes say the ruins have always been considered cursed. Some even speak of ancient lights in the sky and how travelers who stayed overnight there never came back the same. No one is allowed in, and no research is allowed out. You may recognize the name from Indiana Jones, but the real city of Tanis holds secrets no movie could explain. Once a mighty capital of Egypt's 21st and 22nd dynasties, Tanis was home to massive temples, golden tombs, and advanced water systems. But as the Nile shifted course, the city was slowly abandoned and forgotten. Archaeologists uncovered parts of it in the 20th century, massive stone blocks, cryptic sarcophagi, and structures unlike others in Egypt. But then, work abruptly stopped. The reason? Severe flooding, according to officials, but satellite images show large portions of Tanis still visible and military equipment near the site. Some believe Tanis was intentionally reburied due to what was found in one of its untouched tombs, items that don't appear to be of Egyptian origin. For years, rumors swirled of chambers beneath the Sphinx. Then, someone found them, and the Egyptian government said nothing. In 1999, British explorer Andrew Collins uncovered what appeared to be an entrance to a cave system near the Sphinx at Giza. This lined up with ancient writings that spoke of a hall of records buried near the monument. Collins' team, using ground-penetrating radar, found deep voids stretching beneath the plateau, but shortly after their discovery, Egyptian officials locked down the site and denied any significance. The caves still haven't been fully mapped. Some claim the chambers hold scrolls from a lost civilization. Others say what's down there is too dangerous or too world-shaking to ever reveal. An ancient desert city said to be destroyed by divine wrath was allegedly rediscovered, then quickly erased. Iram of the Pillars is mentioned in the Quran and in Arabian legends as a wealthy city that defied the gods and was swallowed by the desert. In the 1990s, satellite scans by NASA revealed what appeared to be an ancient trade route and a buried city in southern Egypt's desert near the Libyan border. Initial excavations uncovered pillars, massive stone blocks, and what looked like ziggurat-style structures completely unlike other Egyptian architecture. Then, suddenly, operations ceased. No reports, no photos. The site was declared a national security zone. Some believe Iram was a city that predates dynastic Egypt, and rewriting history that far back might be something authorities just aren't ready to do. In 1901, explorers claimed to find an underground city near the temple of Seti I in Abydos, and then vanished from history. Abydos is one of Egypt's most sacred sites, believed to be the gateway to the afterlife. Beneath it, a hidden entrance led to what early 20th century explorers described as vast tunnels, rooms, and what appeared to be an entire underground complex. This city was rumored to contain depictions of strange flying machines, gods with elongated skulls, and advanced tools carved into the stone. Today, the Egyptian government admits that there are tunnels under Abydos, but exploration is strictly forbidden. Officials cite collapse risks, but no new permits have been issued in over 70 years. What lies beneath Abydos may not just rewrite history, it might question who really built it. It's been called the Atlantis of the Sahara, an oasis city that appears in medieval texts but disappears from every map. Zerzura was first mentioned in Arab texts as a white city west of the Nile, said to be filled with treasures, strange architecture, and even magical guardians. European explorers in the early 20th century launched expeditions to find it, and some claimed they did, but here's the twist. The Egyptian military now strictly controls large parts of the desert where Zerzura was supposedly located. Satellite imagery has picked up curious formations near the Gilf Kebir Plateau where ancient tracks seem to lead to nowhere. Some believe the ruins are there, but access to this region is tightly restricted. The mystery of Zerzura remains off-limits and highly classified. A massive underground network was discovered beneath Abu Sir pyramids, but no one is allowed to enter. In the 1990s, Egyptian archaeologist Dr. Zahi Hawass confirmed the existence of tunnels beneath the ancient site of Abu Sir. These tunnels lead to chambers far underground, some filled with water, others completely sealed, and local legends say a lost city once stood here, later swallowed by sand and time. When a team attempted to explore deeper with advanced tech, they were suddenly shut down by Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities. No official reason was given, but whispers of dangerous air quality, unexplained deaths, and unstable structures started to circulate. Whatever lies beneath Abu Sir is there to stay, at least for now. This entire city was lost for over 1,000 years until it was discovered under the sea and instantly restricted. Heraklion was once one of Egypt's grandest port cities. It was the gateway between the Nile and the Mediterranean, filled with temples, palaces, and statues that rivaled Thebes. But in the 2nd century BC, it sank into the sea, literally. In 2000, French archaeologist Frank Gaudio rediscovered Heraklion under 30 feet of water off the coast of Alexandria. What followed was a massive recovery effort, but only parts of the city have been explored. Why? Because the site is now patrolled by the Egyptian Navy. Military presence and murky restrictions have kept researchers from accessing deeper ruins. Some believe there's a temple buried in the silt that contains forbidden knowledge or sacred texts, but unless the government lifts its hold, those secrets will stay sunken. It's one of the most ominous pyramids in Egypt, and the strange ruins around it are completely locked down. The Black Period of Amenemhat III, located in Dashur, is rarely talked about. Why? Because the surrounding settlement, believed to have once housed thousands of workers and priests, has been completely fenced off for decades. Local accounts describe deep shafts and strange inscriptions that don't match other Egyptian writings. Researchers have reported bizarre magnetic anomalies in the area, and rumors say multiple archaeological teams have gone in and never published their findings. The site is under government watch and no further digs are allowed. Some claim it's due to safety, and others whisper it's because what was found shouldn't have been.
Next, let's talk about Egyptian hieroglyphs in general and some of the odd places they've been spotted, like on crashed UFOs, for example. The infamous Roswell incident in 1947 and the Rendlesham Forest sightings in 1980 were both said to have strange symbols carved into the sides of the UFOs. Some witnesses claimed to see what looked like Egyptian hieroglyphs on the sides of both craft, incredibly strange, and the symbols discovered on the Roswell UFO are said to have matched the ones found on the Rendlesham object. One specific design is apparently a triangle with two spheres that appears on both. So why would UFOs have Egyptian-looking symbols etched into them? In the Dendera temple complex, there's a famous relief with an image dubbed the Dendera Light. The image depicts a snake emerging from a lotus flower, seemingly held up by a pillar with human arms at the end. But you gotta look more closely to see that. What's immediately obvious to us modern folks is that this looks a lot like a giant light bulb, specifically a Crookes tube, an early type of light bulb that was invented in the 19th century. There's a pretty uncanny resemblance, really, but is it just a coincidence? Or is this ancient artwork actually depicting a piece of advanced technology? Another interesting thing about this one, the specific room featuring the Dendera light is the only one in the entire temple with no evidence of fire-burning lamps. In every other part of the temple, archaeologists found residues from what looked to have been lamps, but not here. So if the room was completely dark, how did the ancient Egyptians light it up? And why would they go to the trouble of carving such an elaborate image if it was just going to be hidden in darkness? Well, maybe the room wasn't pitch black. Maybe they illuminated it with some other, more advanced method. The Saqqara bird is a cute little sculpture, but it's also led to some pretty interesting conversations. Discovered in an ancient Egyptian tomb near Saqqara, this wooden figure is around 2,200 years old. Now, at first glance, it looks like, a toy bird, but looking closer, and it also kind of looks like a model airplane. The wings look a lot more like a plane than a bird's wings. So it's got people wondering, did the ancient Egyptians have some knowledge of flight? Back in 1969, an Egyptian doctor named Khalil Masiha proposed a pretty cool idea. What if this bird was actually a model of an ancient flying machine? People have crafted replicas of the artifact to test how aerodynamic it is, and some of these models have been found to glide pretty well when thrown. If it's not an ancient depiction of a plane, that kid back in the day had a pretty cool toy. Well, we're talking about another find in Saqqara. Near the Pyramid of Djoser, archaeologists came across 24 coffin-shaped black boxes carved from solid Aswan granite. This rock is incredibly tough, so tough that even modern tools have trouble scratching it. So, the fact that some of these boxes have intricate hieroglyphs etched into them is pretty impressive. Not only that, but each box is massive, weighing over 100 tons. Some people think the craftsmanship is so advanced that it feels impossible for ancient Egyptians to have done it alone. And for those who believe in alien involvement, there's a theory that these designs came from somewhere else or were inspired by something advanced. And of course, I can't do this list without talking about the Great Pyramids themselves. Now, while I'm of the belief that ancient Egyptians were just crafty and way ahead of their time, even I can't deny how enticing the idea of extraterrestrial beings assisting in their creation is. Now, aside from how incredible the pyramids are and the mystery surrounding how they were built, we also gotta talk about where they're positioned. The three main pyramids are aligned in a way that closely matches the stars in Orion's belt. The Egyptians definitely had a sophisticated understanding of astronomy. Even more fascinating is the fact that the sizes of the pyramids seem to correspond to the brightness of the stars. Two of the pyramids are nearly identical in height, while the third is about half as tall. In the night sky, two of the stars in Orion's belt shine brightly, with the third star being dimmer, mirroring the layout of the pyramids. The pyramids are also positioned in a nearly straight line with the North Magnetic Pole, so it's very impressive that an ancient civilization had such an advanced knowledge of science, geometry, and astronomy. They had to have had skills and understanding similar to what we have today to design and construct the pyramids with such perfect alignment. And again, the size of the pyramids themselves is also just remarkable. So what do you all think? Did they have some help from extraterrestrial visitors, or were the ancient Egyptians just that ahead of their time? Now, this may not look like much, but what if I told you it was made thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago? This is the Sabu disc, a very strange ancient Egyptian artifact believed to date back to around 3000 to 2800 BCE. It was discovered in 1936 in the Saqqara necropolis, specifically in the tomb of an official named Sabu, which is how it got its name. This disc is made from schist, a type of stone known for its durability, and as you can see, it has a unique design for the time. It looks very modern, like a broken piece of machinery or something. Some researchers think it could have been some sort of ceremonial object, given the fact that it was found in a tomb. Others think that it might have had a more practical function. But the advanced design of this thing might mean it could have belonged to a more sophisticated technology that's just been lost to time. And did the Egyptians even build it themselves, or was there some extraterrestrial influence? Could the ancient Egyptians have been in contact with advanced beings from another planet? Well, that's pretty much what this whole video is about. The Abydos carvings found in the ancient temple of Seti I and Abydos seem to depict this mix of traditional hieroglyphs with some seriously strange images. When you look closely, you might notice that some of these carvings look a lot like modern vehicles, like a helicopter, a submarine, a jet plane. One of the things looks a lot like the land speeder from Star Wars to me, and to a lot of other people online. The sort of eerie resemblance to things we see today, excluding the land speeder, unfortunately, has led to some wild theories. One of the most popular ideas is that these carvings were depictions of some of the ancient Egyptians' advanced technology, possibly thanks to extraterrestrial visitors. Imagine aliens coming to Earth thousands and thousands of years ago and sharing their tech with Egyptians. It's just a fun idea. And if that is true, we also gotta ask, who were these people? Or I guess, what were these people or things? Were they from another planet? Or could they maybe have been time travelers from our future? Take a look at this odd coin. What historical politician is that supposed to be exactly? Looks a lot like an alien to me. So there's been this story circulating online about this collection of coins found in Egypt that seem to depict aliens. The coins apparently date back to the 1st century BCE and feature a humanoid figure with large eyes, a tiny mouth, bald head, your classic gray. There are also coins with your typical flying saucer carved into them. The coins were supposedly discovered by a group of construction workers who were renovating a house in southern Egypt. Now, while digging in the basement, they stumbled on a small box filled with these coins, all in surprisingly good condition. After the find, the coins were taken to a local museum for further examination. Archaeologists dated the coins and concluded that they were likely minted in Egypt. Now, are these coins evidence of ancient alien contact? Did the ancient Egyptians carve their extraterrestrial visitors into their money? Well, sure, there are some spooky artifacts and mysteries surrounding ancient Egypt, but these coins are hoaxes. At least I'm 99.9% sure. I don't know, there's always that small chance though. Well, this is an odd looking creature, isn't it? On March 21st of 2016, a post on the website Worldwide Science Stories claimed that archaeologists had discovered a, quote, alien mummy inside an Egyptian pyramid. The story came from sources who wanted to remain anonymous. According to the report, the mummy was found by archaeologists near Lahoun while exploring a small pyramid linked to the 12th dynasty of Senusret II. This alleged alien mummy was said to be between 150 and 160 centimeters long, supposedly dating back over 2,000 years. Now, apparently the details about this mysterious find weren't disclosed right away. And again, a source from the Egyptian Department of Antiquities confirmed the discovery but insisted on remaining unnamed. Now, it's an odd-looking mummy, definitely looks like your classic alien to me. The large, oval-shaped eyes, the small slit for a mouth, very reptilian, and apparently inscriptions found near the tomb referred to the creature as Osserunet, a name interpreted to mean star or sent from heaven. Now, this is a pretty controversial story, as you can probably imagine. A lot of people think this one is a hoax, but it isn't the only strange looking mummy found in ancient Egypt. There have been lots, so is it possible that there are other ones that have just been covered up? Who knows? The Thule papyrus is a really cool find. The story starts back in 1933 when Alberto Thule, who is a curator at the Vatican Museums, discovered a roll of papyrus in Cairo. This document is said to date back to the time of Pharaoh Thutmose III around 1480 BCE. But here's where it gets really strange. After Thule passed away, this scroll just vanished without a trace, and years later an Italian Egyptologist named Boris de Reichenwalz claimed he'd found a transcription of the Thule papyrus, and according to his translation, the text tells an incredible story about a day when a large disc appeared in the sky. This disc was about 164 feet long and 16.5 feet wide and gave off a really awful smell. Then more discs kept appearing, shining brighter than the sun. The pharaoh ordered incense offerings to appease the Egyptian god Amun-Ra and commanded that the event be recorded for future generations. Thus, we now have the Thule papyrus. Heraklion was an ancient city with grand temples and statues sitting on the coast of the Mediterranean. Then it disappeared entirely, sinking into the sea. This once booming port city in Egypt was written of by ancient writers, but no one knew where it went. That is, until 2000, when underwater archaeologists rediscovered it off the coast of Alexandria. Turned out the city had sunk, probably because of rising sea levels and earthquakes, but there are other theories. What archaeologists found, though, was mind-blowing. Huge statues, temples, even a harbor that had been sitting on the sea floor for centuries. So what happened? Was it a natural disaster or something else? Some people think the city may have been deliberately buried, but whatever the cause, the rediscovery of Heraklion was one of the greatest archaeological finds in history. It helped historians paint a better picture of not just ancient Egyptian life, but their connection with the rest of the Mediterranean world. The Great Pyramid of Giza is a masterpiece of ancient engineering. You probably don't need me to tell you that, but how on earth did the Egyptians move these massive stones, some weighing up to 80 tons? Well, here's a fun theory. Some believe the ancient Egyptians somehow made the stones float. Sounds like science fiction, but I'm not talking about stones floating in the air, at least not entirely. There are a few ideas floating around, pun intended. Some think the builders might have used water to reduce the weight of the stones, floating them over waterways. And yes, there are also conspiracies and talk about long-lost advanced technology that they had access to that literally allowed them to levitate the stones. Of course, mainstream Egyptologists don't subscribe to that idea, though, saying the stones were either moved using a complex system of ropes and ramps and pulleys, or the water thing. The ancient Egyptians were huge fans of Ra, the sun god. They built massive sun temples dedicated to him. We have depictions of these temples in the form of hieroglyphics and art, and though some of these temples have turned up, one just a few years back even, many of them are still nowhere to be found. No one really knows what happened to them. Some of these temples would have been destroyed by natural disasters, others just disappeared over time, buried by the desert sands, or could have been destroyed by invaders. Sun temples were important for both religious and political reasons. They were places of worship, but they also symbolized the power of the pharaoh. Why they disappeared is still up for debate. Maybe their influence waned, maybe they were targeted to be destroyed by later rulers who wanted to build something new. Whatever happened to them, though, the lost sun temples are one of Egypt's greatest mysteries. Now let's get a little weird. In the Dendera temple, there's a set of reliefs that have been confusing people for a very long time. These carvings seem to show what looks like an electric light bulb. The reliefs show what appear to be figures holding large bulbous objects connected by snakes, which some people interpret as wires. And yeah, it's hard not to look at this and not see a light bulb. Could this be evidence that the Egyptians had access to electricity? It's a theory that gets a lot of attention, especially from those who believe that ancient Egyptians were even more advanced than we already think. Most Egyptologists say the so-called light bulb interpretation is a stretch, though. They think the carvings are just symbolic representations of Egyptian religious beliefs, not ancient electrical devices. Still, with all the incredible stuff this society churned out and how much mystery still surrounds them, it wouldn't be surprising if they had access to technology that was well beyond their time. Finally, let's talk about one of the creepiest mysteries surrounding ancient Egypt, the curse of the pharaohs. According to legend, anyone who disturbed the tomb of a pharaoh would suffer a curse, leading to illness, misfortune, or even death. This myth really came to life in 1922, when the tomb of King Tut was discovered. Shortly after the tomb was opened, several people involved in the excavation died under mysterious circumstances. Most famously, Lord Carnarvon, who financed the dig. People started to connect the deaths to the curse, and the story became one of the most notorious urban legends in history. In fact, stories like this are part of why videos like the one you're watching right now exist. Egypt started to gain a reputation in other parts of the world as being a strange and mysterious place. Of course, Many of the deaths can be explained by natural causes. Carnarvon, for example, died from an infected mosquito bite, but the curse of the pharaohs helped spark this interest in ancient Egypt over in the West, and that interest has never really gone away. Ancient Egypt's lost labyrinth, mentioned by historians like Herodotus and Strabo, is a legendary structure that's eluded archaeologists for centuries. According to ancient descriptions, it was located near the foot of the pyramid of Amenemhat III at Hawara. The labyrinth was said to be a massive complex containing over 3,000 rooms and a series of underground tunnels, all laid out in this seemingly impossible pattern. It was so vast that Herodotus claimed that even the most experienced travelers got lost inside. Herodotus also described the labyrinth as having a central structure that was so impressive it even rivaled the Great Pyramid of Giza. It was described as being filled with chambers, statues, and the tombs of kings. Strabo, a Greek geographer, also mentioned that it was larger and more complex than any other structure in Egypt. At some point, the site was destroyed, though, either completely by natural events like earthquakes or deliberately buried and forgotten over time. As for why it would have been intentionally buried, some think it may have had something to do with Egypt's changing political landscape, that some ruler chose to erase its memory. Nefertiti, the beautiful and powerful queen of the 18th dynasty, is one of the most famous figures in Egyptian history. For years, historians and archaeologists have speculated about the location of her tomb, but it's still never been found. She was the wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten and the mother of Tutankhamun. In 2003, British archaeologist Nicholas Reeves set off a new wave of interest in the hunt for Nefertiti's tomb when he came out with a theory about her tomb being hidden behind a false wall in King Tut's tomb in the Valley of the Kings. The theory is based on the idea that Nefertiti, who was believed to have ruled briefly as pharaoh after her husband's death, could have been buried alongside her son-in-law. Scanning and imaging technology is getting better by the day, and it's been used to search the area for hidden chambers, but no one has found any conclusive proof that Nefertiti's tomb is there. Now let's talk about the Great Sphinx. This iconic figure with the body of a lion and the face of a pharaoh has been sitting at the Giza Plateau for thousands of years. Most scholars believe it was built around 2500 BCE during the reign of Pharaoh Khafre, but there are also alternate theories. Some researchers are convinced that it's way older than that. How much older? Well, some think it could date back as far as 10,000 BCE, which would blow the conventional timeline out of the water. But why do some researchers think this? Well, the Sphinx shows signs of erosion that look more like the water damage than wind and sand erosion, which would make sense if it had been exposed to heavy rain long before Egypt became a desert. Some archaeologists think that the Sphinx was built by some much older civilization, and the Egyptians later rebuilt it during Khafre's reign, but for now, it's still a mystery. Was the Sphinx built during Khafre's time, or was it a relic of an even older, mysterious culture? Next, let's look at the Step Pyramid of Djoser. This is the first pyramid ever built, and it set the stage for the massive stone structures that would follow. The pyramid was designed by the famous architect Imhotep and built during Egypt's third dynasty, around 2700 BCE. But beneath the pyramid is this network of tunnels and chambers, and no one really knows what's down there. Archaeologists found a ton of passages, crypts, and even strange inscriptions, but some chambers are still unexplored. People think there could be more hidden chambers below ground, maybe secret rooms with treasures, or who knows, even more royal tombs. And what's even more interesting is that with today's tech like ground-penetrating radar, we're able to scan these areas and see things we didn't know existed. But even still, despite all the scanning and digging, there's still a lot we don't understand about the Step Pyramid. So what could really be hiding down there? Cleopatra, she's the stuff of legend. Last queen of Egypt, lover of Julius Caesar, and later the tragic lover of Mark Antony. After her death in 30 BCE, she and Mark Antony were said to be buried together in a tomb somewhere in Alexandria, but no one has ever found it. And it's definitely not for a lack of trying. Archaeologists have been on the hunt for Cleopatra's tomb for years, but even with the countless expeditions, the digging, the underwater searches, it's still never been found. Some think it might have been destroyed or hidden deliberately. Others think it could be submerged under the waters of Alexandria, which has been slowly sinking over time. The fact is, we don't know if it's out there waiting to be found or if it's been lost to history forever. Cleopatra's tomb might be one of the greatest archaeological discoveries ever, but for now, it's still an unsolved mystery.
Next, we are talking about the lion cubs. There is something downright eerie about stumbling across two perfectly mummified lion cubs dating back 2,600 years, especially when they show up in a sprawling ancient cemetery south of modern-day Cairo. Archaeologists at Saqqara recently uncovered these tiny 3-foot-long bundles wrapped in linen and tucked into ornate wooden boxes. This jaw-dropping, first-of-its-kind discovery didn't come alone. The site also revealed a bizarre menagerie of mummified wildlife, including cats, cobras, crocodiles, and even a massive scarab beetle, plus over 70 delicate cat statues crafted from wood and bronze. The fact that these cubs were prepared with the same care as human mummies raises unsettling questions. How important were these animals in Egyptian spiritual life, and what purpose did they serve in the dusty halls of the afterlife? While mummified cats are old news, complete lion mummies are almost unheard of, and the rare glimpses offered by CT scans haven't solved the puzzle of which other wild cats joined their ranks. The fact that lions once roamed Egypt and even lived in royal palaces only adds to the strangeness, teasing experts with yet another ancient mystery that refuses to be neatly explained. In our number 4 spot today, we are talking about the gold-tongued mummies. In the sands of Taposiris Magna, archaeologists unearthed a secret that left them speechless. Mummies with mouths of gold. Not golden teeth, no, but tiny, perfectly crafted tongues of pure gold resting on the lips of the dead. It's like something out of an Indiana Jones movie, right? But this is real, and it has experts scratching their heads. Was this a bizarre form of ancient bling? A way to guarantee smooth talking in the afterlife? Or maybe a dark ritual we haven't even begun to understand? These golden-tongued mummies are rewriting the rules of ancient Egyptian burial practices, and with every new discovery, the mystery only deepens. What secrets did these people take to their graves? And what else lies hidden beneath the sands of time? Next, we are talking about the tattooed mummies. A time-worn priestess with intricate tattoos etched into her leathery skin isn't just a stunning find, it's a direct challenge to everything researchers assumed about ancient body art in Egypt. These permanent symbols, once reserved for modern imaginations, have turned up on mummies like the renowned Amunet, raising big questions about their purpose. Were these tattoos protective charms, markers of hidden status, or some form of spiritual medicine? Decoding the mysterious ink is definitely no easy task. The complex designs refuse to yield a clear narrative, leaving us grappling with hints of a language that's been lost beneath centuries of desert dust. Next, we are talking about the elongated skull mummies. Some Egyptian mummies exhibit unusual cranial shapes that have sparked speculation. While artificial cranial deformation was practiced in various ancient cultures, definitive evidence is scarce in Egypt, and its presence would raise more questions than answers. Something about these elongated skulls stops you dead in your tracks. Egyptian mummies whose heads don't fit the mold of what we expect from the land of Nile. Archaeologists know that in some ancient cultures, people deliberately shaped skulls to achieve certain ideals of beauty, social status, or spiritual significance, but solid proof of such customs in Egypt remains elusive. If these stretched craniums were intentional, what possessed someone to transform a human skull into such an unusual shape? If not, are we facing genetic anomalies, weird burial conditions that distorted the bones over time, or something even stranger hiding in the historical shadows? And finally, in our number 1 spot today, we have the prosthetic toe mummies. There is more to a few Egyptian mummies than dried flesh and dusty bandages. Some were buried with prosthetic body parts that rival modern craftsmanship. One striking example comes from the Theban necropolis, where archaeologists uncover a lifelike wooden and leather toe built to help its wearer walk with ease. This finely engineered artificial limb wasn't just for show, it suggests that ancient Egyptians understood complex biomechanics and tailored medical solutions long before we gave them credit for such skill. Were these high-quality prosthetics reserved for the elite, or were they more common than we might think? Each new discovery forces experts to rethink what kind of medical know-how Egyptians packed into their iconic tombs and how much there is still left to uncover. Starting off today in our number 10 spot, we have the Screaming Mummy, also known as Unknown Man E. There is a mummy whose face looks forever trapped in a silent scream. Mouth open, head thrown back, and no one knows why. Dubbed the Screaming Mummy, this grim figure found in DB 320 is an unsettling break from the polished, elegant norm of Egyptian burial customs. He got no comforting rites, no royal pomp, just a hasty embalming and a suspiciously bare-bones setup that makes his afterlife look more like a rushed cover-up than a dignified farewell. Some think he could be Prince Pentawere, mixed up in a scandalous plot against Pharaoh Ramesses III. Others wonder if he was the victim of a sinister curse or a brutal crime. Yet, after all the DNA tests and forensic scans, experts still can't say for certain what forced his body into that nightmarish pose or why he ended up lying in his tomb screaming without a sound. Next, we are talking about the mysterious KV-55 mummy. A battered coffin found in the famous Valley of the Kings shouldn't look like it was thrown together at the last minute, but that's exactly what archaeologists uncovered in the tomb KV-55. A mummy so badly decayed it's a miracle any scrap of it survived. Experts have argued for ages over who this poor soul could be. Was it Akhenaten, the controversial pharaoh who dared to worship the sun, or some lesser-known royal from the same era? Sure, DNA tests link the remains to Tutankhamun's family, but that hardly clears things up. Was the burial a deliberate insult, a desperate attempt to erase somebody's legacy, or something else entirely? All these contradicting clues, the rough treatment, and the glaring lack of the usual funerary honors are a slap in the face to what we thought we knew about how Egyptian royals were laid to rest. Next, we are talking about the unknown woman A. Most Egyptian mummies reflect carefully orchestrated afterlives, but unknown woman A looks more like the aftermath of a sudden, violent disaster. Her body, found in the same location as the Screaming Mummy, has broken bones, a haphazard embalming job, and was tucked into a coffin never meant for her. She has no carved name, no fancy amulets, just desperate linen wrappings that hint at panic and fear rather than the usual reverence. Was she a disgraced royal tossed aside in political chaos, a victim of palace intrigue who ended up in the wrong tomb at the wrong time, or some tragic figure whose name wasn't worth remembering? The mystery lingers, with every crooked limb and missing inscription pushing researchers deeper into a puzzle that they still can't solve. Next, we are talking about Nespernub. Buried for nearly 3,000 years, the mummy of the priest Nespernub carried a bizarre secret that no one caught until cutting-edge scans peeked beneath centuries-old wrappings. Instead of a neat, ritual-approved burial, he ended up with a shallow, misshapen bowl cemented to his head by hardened resin. None of the known mummification customs explain this odd accessory. Was it a makeshift tool placed there to catch dripping embalming fluid that unexpectedly hardened too soon? Whatever the reason, attempts to pry it off must have failed. His skin was damaged at the back of his head, suggesting some frantic effort to remove it before the embalmers finally just gave up. They proceeded as if nothing had happened, layering the wrappings and locking this weird blunder into history, confident it would never see the light of day. Modern technology has changed that, and now experts are left scratching their own heads at this strange, unprecedented twist in ancient funerary practice. Next, we are talking about the Mother. A shocking discovery in 2021 flipped everything experts thought they knew about ancient Egyptian burials. A mummy once identified as a male priest turned out to be a pregnant woman who'd carried her unborn child for more than 2,000 years. This unexpected twist raises a swarm of unsettling mysteries. Why wasn't the fetus removed like other organs, and what did this mean for her journey into the afterlife? There's no fitting answer yet. Researchers are still struggling to make sense of the cultural, spiritual, or medical reasons behind this anomaly. Did her pregnancy grant her a unique status, or is it simply a rare oversight in the embalming process?
Coming in at number 5. Why did they stop? So not only do historians question how the pyramids were built, but the other million-dollar question is, why did they stop? So the last royal pyramid was built around 1500 BCE, and afterwards, while wealthy individuals were occasionally buried in or near pyramids, pharaohs were instead buried in the Valley of Kings near Thebes. But what exactly caused the rulers of Egypt to abandon their practice of pyramid burials? We aren't totally sure sure. One theory is that religious changes around 1500 BCE began emphasizing building tombs underground in the bedrock rather than in pyramids. Another theory points out that because tomb robbing was a major issue, that there were far less chance that burials would be looted if they weren't placed in such conspicuous settings. Another theory put forward by engineer Peter James came after he discovered that the extreme temperature fluctuations of the Egyptian desert were causing the limestone to expand and contract, which in turn meant that the stone blocks began moving to the edges of the pyramid, which would force them to detach or break, taking the outer casing with them. He theorizes this disintegration likely happened while pyramid building was still occurring, and after spending so much time, money, and energy creating perfect monuments, this visible and rapid destruction of the perfection could have been one reason pharaohs abandoned them as burial monuments altogether. But again, it's just all speculation. Moving on to number 4, far away from home. In 2013, archaeologists in Israel found something they'd never expected to find so far away from Egypt: a 4,000-year-old Egyptian sphinx. Specifically, they found the paws of the statue, and it's believed the rest of it was deliberately destroyed thousands of years ago. But here's the thing: nobody knows what an Egyptian statue was doing in Israel. The only clue left behind is an inscription on the base that bears the name King Menkore, who was a pharaoh that ruled over Egypt around 2500 BC. Was it something that was handed over after a losing bet? We're not totally sure. It's highly unlikely that Tel Hazor, Israel was conquered by the Egyptians, because at the time Tel Hazor was a trading hub in Canaan directly between Egypt and Babylon. This meant it would have been vital for the economy that the two biggest powers in the area remained on good terms. So a gift? Maybe, though it's not clear why King Menkore would have sent it or why anyone would have shattered it. All we really know is that for some reason there is a sphinx 1,000 kilometers away from the Great Sphinx of Giza. Moving on to number 3, mysterious cavities in the Pyramid of Khufu. In 2017, Scan Pyramids made a massive discovery inside the Pyramid of Khufu. With the aid of a non-invasive scanning technique that uses cosmic rays to produce 3D images, researchers discovered 2 previously unknown voids inside the pyramid, making them the first new spaces found inside the pyramid since the 19th century. But of the 2 voids, the larger one was particularly interesting. Not much is known about this larger chamber. It is apparently unlikely to be a burial chamber, but historians theorize it could be a second grand gallery, or more intriguingly, hold some of the secrets to the engineering and construction behind the pyramids. But truth be told, they have no clue why it's there or what its purpose would have been during ancient Egypt, as the Egyptians deliberately built the hidden chamber to be completely inaccessible. There are no corridors or pathways connected to it, and the only way they could have put anything inside is if they filled the chamber while they were building the pyramid, then sealed it up afterward. Were they trying to hide something? We may never know. Coming in at number 2, the Pyramid of Djedefre. Son of the pharaoh Khufu, Djedefre was Khufu's successor and ruled during the 4th dynasty of the Old Kingdom of Egypt. However, it is believed that Djedefre's reign was plagued by political and religious controversies, and that he wasn't Egypt's favorite ruler. Still, he, like his father, wanted his pyramid to have the highest point of any pyramid in Egypt. But there was one problem. He didn't have the resources to build the biggest pyramid. So Djedefre used a little workaround to make sure the tip of his tomb was just a little bit taller than everybody else's, and built it on a hill. However, the mystery about this pyramid compared to the others is it's no longer standing. For some reason, while all the other pyramids of Egypt are still standing after thousands of years, Djedefre's pyramid has been been totally destroyed, and all we are left with today is the base. Now, being a mystery and all, it's not entirely clear what's happened to it. Some think that Djudefre simply died before they were able to get much of the work done and his pyramid was left in ruins. Another theory suggests that Romans quarried it for stones 2,000 years ago, and so it was simply torn down. And the most chaotic theory is that others think that the people of Egypt simply hated Djudefre so much that they were willing to pull apart an entire pyramid just out of spite. And last up in our number 1 spot, a mysterious queen. There are of course many tombs within the Great Pyramids of Egypt, and while they're all interesting in their own right, this one in particular is still puzzling historians and Egyptologists. In 2015, archaeologists stumbled upon the tomb of a woman who was buried among the Great Pyramids of the Old Kingdom of Egypt. In her tomb were inscriptions calling her both the wife and the mother of the king. Now, they were able to decipher a few things. This woman would have been alive 4,500 years ago and would have been one of the most important and powerful people on the planet at that time. So why have we never heard of her, and why can't we figure out who she was? Historians have dubbed her Kentegawes III under the assumption that she was the daughter of Queen Kentegawes II, and think she may have been the wife of the pharaoh Neferefre and the mother of the pharaoh Mekar. But again, they don't really know, they're just guessing. Whoever she was once an incredibly powerful woman, but today she is a little more than an enigma. Well, first up in our number 10 spot, we have construction technique. So I'm starting us off with one of the most widely known mysteries. How the heck were these things built? Although around 120 pyramids were built in ancient Egypt, there is a complete lack of records that explain how the pyramids were constructed. There are many theories, of course. Some believe the ancient Egyptians used a mixture of sleds and wet sand due to a painting in Khufu's tomb that shows men dragging a colossal statue on a sled while a person in front pours water onto the sand. Apparently, when the correct amount of water is used, it can increase the stiffness of the sand and reduce the friction between the object being dragged and the ground, making the object much easier to move. But even if that is exactly how they got the blocks to the site, how did they build the actual pyramid? Ramps are a common suggestion, but truth be told, it is just a theory and no one has been able to confirm once and for all exactly how they did it. That being said, the most entertaining theory, of course, is that aliens came down to Earth to help them, but until concrete evidence is found, the mystery endures. Moving on to number 9, the purpose of pyramids. While most historians can agree that the primary function of many of the pyramids was to serve as tombs for pharaohs, some researchers suggest that they may have had additional purposes. But what could these be? Well, some have theorized they were used as astronomical observatories or as power plants, while some even wonder if machines were somehow being used or created to harness natural energies. Of course, these theories remained completely speculative, but isn't it strange that after all this time, no one is able to say for certain the exact purpose of these colossal structures? Moving on to number 8. Queen Nefertiti. During the 18th dynasty of ancient Egypt, Nefertiti was the great royal wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, recognized for her great beauty and respected for her immense power. Now, her and her husband were known for their radical overhaul of state religious policy, in which they promoted the earliest known form of single deity religion centered on the sun disk. And with her husband, she reigned at what was arguably the wealthiest period of ancient Egyptian history. However, for all her fame and glory in the history books, one thing still remains unanswered: her fate after 1330 BC. You see, despite her influence, her presence completely disappears from historical records after a certain point. And to make matters more mysterious, her tomb has never been found. Some have theorized that her tomb is hidden inside the pyramids, but if that is the case, no one can figure out why it would be hidden in the first place. So to this day, whether her tomb lies inside the ancient pyramids remains a mystery. Moving on to number 7, pyramid alignment. There are a lot of inexplicable things surrounding the elusive pyramids. As we already covered, one of the mysteries involves how they were constructed, and of course the ongoing conspiracy of alien involvement. However, another inexplicable mystery is the precise alignment they fall in. So essentially, the pyramids of Giza are perfectly aligned with the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, with incredible accuracy. In fact, the alignment is so precise that it's difficult to explain how the ancient Egyptians achieved such precise orientation without modern technology. So many Egyptologists have, of course, wondered, was this alignment achieved by chance, or does it indicate an advanced understanding of astronomy? Could this be another mystery pointing towards alien involvement? Who knows? I mean, historians are probably not jumping to that conclusion, to be fair. But many have used this to back up their own theories about the extraterrestrial hand in the pie. Coming in at number 6, precision. Sort of along the lines of the mystery of construction and alignment is the precise measurements and geometry of the pyramids. Looking back, it is fascinating and a little mysterious to observe, as advanced mathematical knowledge would have to been required to achieve the level of precision shown in the pyramids. In comes the aliens. Again, we can't get away from them. There are countless speculations that the ancient Egyptians acquired this advanced knowledge from an alien species. And I mean, of course, there's no way to confirm this, but whether you believe the alien theory or not, the fact of the matter is that where and how they acquired this knowledge is still up for debate.
Number 5. The Tomb of Queen Ti. In 1903, Victor Loret uncovered the tomb of Queen Ti, the wife of Imhotep III, in the Valley of the Queens. Now, what makes this discovery so intriguing here is how simple and modest this tomb is, especially when you consider how powerful and influential Ti was. See, unlike other royal tombs, her burial site is honestly pretty plain, with minimal decoration, which of course raises some eyebrows. There are hardly any inscriptions or royal titles either, which has led some to speculate that her role in the royal court might have been downplayed or even just straight up hidden for some reason. It's a mystery that only adds to the tomb's allure. I keep doing this in my hands like I'm pointing, like I'm landing an airplane. Number 4. The Tomb of Seti I. In 1817, Giovanni Belzoni discovered the tomb of Seti I, and it quickly became one of the most impressive finds in the Valley of the Kings. The tomb's scale and stunning artwork are absolutely breathtaking, but what really makes it stand out is that it's unfinished. Yeah, it's not done. Despite its grandeur, some reliefs remain incomplete, and the sarcophagus is mysteriously also missing. This has led many to wonder if the tomb was altered after Seti's death, perhaps for reasons that we'll never fully understand, being this later in the future. Now, the unfinished details and gaps in the tomb's design really continues to spark speculation about what really happened during Seti's burial. Was it foul play, or did nature just shake everything around? Number 3. The Tomb of Ramses VIII. Discovered by Richard Lepsius in 1845, the tomb of Ramses VIII is surprisingly small and much less impressive with those of other pharaohs. With incomplete decorations and very, very few artifacts, it stands out as a real enigma. An enigma? Enigmatic enigma, here we go. It stands out as a real mystery. Ramses VIII's reign was short and not well documented, which only makes his modest burial more mysterious. I mean, you're a king, why wouldn't they finish this? The lack of grand burial practices and the tomb's small size have led to a lot of speculation about why his resting place was so understated in the first place, leaving us to wonder what his reign was actually like and why his legacy was so quietly handled. Number 2. I'll count it down like Ched. Number 2. The tomb of Merneptah. Number 2. The tomb of Merneptah. Discovered in 1903 by Ernesto Schiaparelli, the tomb of Merneptah, son of Ramses II, stands out for its detailed inscriptions, but it's the lack of treasure that really piques our curiosity. Despite being an important pharaoh who led military campaigns, Merneptah's tomb is surprisingly modest in its offerings, hinting that it may have been rushed or poorly funded. This raises questions about his reign, with some historians speculating that his rule didn't carry the same weight as his father's. I can't fill the father's shoes, classic. Others wonder if political or religious changes during his time influenced the sparse contents, leaving his legacy hiding in mystery. And finally, number 1, the tomb of Thutmose I. Discovered in 1898 by James Quibble, the tomb of Thutmose I is one of the lesser known royal burial sites in the Valley of the Kings. See, unlike other royal tombs, Thutmose I is a small tomb and it lacks many of the features associated with a pharaoh's resting place, such as extensive decorations or lavish goods, nothing like that. The modest nature of the tomb, combined with the fact that it was heavily looted, raises questions about his significance and the political climate during his reign. A lot of unanswered questions around this. The absence of detailed historical records about Thutmose I adds to the mystery surrounding his legacy, and given that it's 2024, we'll probably never know.